I've noticed a few things about the show. It's kind of a fusion of the few movie reviews that I've actually already done. Let's start with Cars 2. Planet Sheen is a spin-off show by putting the comic relief in the main spotlight. That never, ever works. Can you ever think of one time, just one time, where putting comic relief in the spotlight for a whole series ever turned out good? Most shows have problems doing it for one episode. This is a problem for quite a few reasons. Number 1, just check the name, comic relief, as in relief. They are supposed to provide relief for the main stories and the other characters. Another problem with comic relief spin-offs is that it reduces the characters into essentially one trait automatically. The world is good at reacting to them, but them reacting to the world plays into the exact same thing over and over again. This happens, and Mater is an idiot to it. This happens, and Sheen is an idiot to it. Also here is a bit of Tentaclino, because Planet Sheen is one of the most bizarrely horrible cartoons that I've ever seen. This episode starts in one of the most annoying ways possible. A monkey is working on a rocket that I'm assuming they used to get here, and Sheen is just watching.
Yes, and that, my friend, is what's known as a supervisor.
Already 10 seconds in, and we've hit our first major snag. As weird as Sheen is, I think that he might care about never seeing his friends or family ever again. I'm also guessing that them being worried about him is never brought up either. Sheen takes a piece of the rocket and believes that it's a milkshake maker. He's going to think that it's a milkshake maker throughout the entire episode.
Always said, you gotta stop and smell the milkshake. Man, how hard is it to make a milkshake maker? If I work backwards and start with the milkshake, and the best thing for a rash is a milkshake.
Alright, if you're gonna write a stupid character, you need to give some logic to their stupidity. If that whirligig looks something like it could make a milkshake, then that would complete the joke. You can't make idiots just see whatever the plot wants them to.
But like my Uncle Miguel always said, you gotta stop and smell the milkshakes.
You know, when you're making a spin-off show, you should try to keep the original show style as much as possible. I'd forgive them mixing things up if these 5-second cutaways were funny, but they're not.
Or does it?
No.
Or does it?
No.
Or does it?
Shut up! For the love of God, just shut up! The sad part is that, unlike Mater, I actually like Sheen in the original show. But that's because, number 1, he was a fucking character and not a joke, and number 2, he wasn't always in the focus. And number 3, he actually had some depth. Putting a comic relief character in the focus can get very grating very fast. The Emperor comes by along with someone called Dorcas. From what people have told me, because I couldn't find the pilot anywhere, Dorcas hates Sheen because the rocket crashed into his house. Beyond the fact that he's voiced by a Tim Curry sound-alike,
of things like that. For example, just the other day, I was thinking about watering my garden.
his only notable trait is that he's this show's Megward the Wizard. Considering that he's a villain, he has more of a point than most Megward the Wizards, but he's still a Megward the Wizard nonetheless. Anyway, the Emperor says that Balrog the Destroyer destroys everything.
You have no idea. He once fed an entire village.
Well, that sounds nice.
To his mother.
He's not scary in the slightest, is he? So she needs to learn how to properly feel Balrog, and the Emperor gives the job to Dorcas because of course he does. Is there anything in this episode that isn't cliched as all hell? Oh god, why do I feel like I'm going to regret that question?
Now my dark purpose will be fulfilled, and the last of the Roman horse will die! In the dark of the night I was tossing and turning, and the nightmare I had was as bad as can be.
So Dorcas decides to find someone to teach Sheen so badly that Balrog will get extremely mad. Look, just because you're in a unique environment doesn't give you license to be cliched. We've already established this one.
Just so you don't look like an Oblong award.
Thank you so much for this award. I have such a long list of people I'd like to thank.
I'd really like to know, who came out and said, I really like Jimmy Neutron, but do you know what it really needs? More Family Guy cutaway gags! A spin-off show is supposed to fix the flaws of the original, or change the formula a bit, like making the Rugrats teenagers. There's a lot you could do with the kids grown up. What you're not supposed to do is add random extraneous crap. Then Balrog finds Carl Weezer's Snot Slug clone. Yes, guess what? It seems that the showrunners here decided that Sheen wasn't enough to carry a show on his own. 2 episodes in. At least, that's what I hope the introduction of this character means, because he is exactly Carl Weezer, and they're blatant about it. It could either mean that they think that Sheen wasn't enough to carry the show, or it could tell me that someone wanted to make Jimmy Neutron without Jimmy Neutron, which is stupid. It's like making Ed, Edd and Eddy without the Eds. Jimmy Neutron isn't the most character-driven show, but the characters of Jimmy mesh perfectly with the show. This show gives us some bullcrap to hammer on the fact that this is indeed Carl Weezer. Moving on. Carl Weezer's got the job to teach Sheen how to properly fuel Balrog the Destroyer, who I'm still certain isn't going to be frightening in the slightest. We cut to Sheen. His rocket part causes him to fly around for no reason, and then he meets Carl.
My name is Doppy. That is spelled D-O-P-P tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Why?
Yeah, I'm still gonna call him Carl.
Wait a minute. Do I know you from somewhere?
Okay, Sheen had the hots for Carl. Moving on. Sheen makes himself an ass by pretty much being Patrick Star from Oral Report. Dorcas comes out. Carl failed to teach Sheen, and then we cut to Sheen counting down how long he's been waiting for Balrog. We get some ambience crap, and then we learn that Balrog the Destroyer is a flying pink pony with a rainbow mane. Oh god. The only question here is what jokes do I use?
Who are you, flat-headed triangular one?
Look, you want to make ponies scary. Just watch what I'm going to be doing next time. Oh yeah, we're going there. Then the pony shoots rotten nasal fumes at Sheen. Then we get another stupid cutaway gag. When Sheen insults Pinkie Pie here, he shoots out some nose hairs and sucks Sheen into his nose. Give him that, it's not cliche anymore, but do you guys realize what just happened? Sheen crash landed on an alien planet with a civilization who is afraid of a giant pink pony with a rainbow mane who sucks people up with his nose hairs. What drugs were they on to make this? All the drugs. All the fucking drugs. Dorcas also gets sucked up into the pony's nose because he did his pose and it looked like the award thing.
It's a lot roomier in here than it looks from the outside. Some would even argue that it's impossible.
Pointing out your problems does not make them go away. Come on, you established that the fucking pony was some kind of god demon. You can come up with a better excuse than pointing out why this couldn't happen.
I came here as a baby. I have a rash.
Yay! Toilet humor, something that the original show thoroughly lacked. Sheen starts using the rocket part, and that miraculously cuts him free. Yay for anticlimaxes. This gets Balrog to sneeze everything out.
Thank you, Sheen. You know what? Now that my nose isn't stuffed up, I want to do good things. In fact, I'm gonna go build a library and fill it with books that only have happy endings.
And that's how Equestria was made.
Seriously though, what the fuck? Like, what the holy hell? Before the episode ends, Megward the Wizard gets sucked up the pony's nose, and we end on a fucking poop joke. Yeah, like I said, this show's like Tentaclino, where you'd want to keep watching just to figure out what bizarre shit the screen will throw up at you next. But that's really like one of the worst ways you can get someone to keep watching your show. I mean, you're gonna run out of the drugs, and you have to get some really, really crazy shit to make this stuff up. The funny thing is that I actually heard that the show was going to be serious, along the lines of Avatar, as a matter of fact. I'd say that would be a much better idea, but I've seen Mars Needs Moms, and I kinda prefer this.